What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to Tactical Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, May the 1st of 2018. Damn, where did the time go? It's already May 1st. Well, we're gonna try to see what happens in the month of May. Hopefully, the month of May turns out for better weather than we had in April. We are live on YouTube and, as always, simulcasting over on GunChannels.com. If you haven't checked out GunChannels yet, please make sure you do. It is the water cooler of the gun community. We have 24-hour live chats going anytime and every time. You can find out any information if you have any questions on any kind of firearms or any Second Amendment stuff. There is always someone there to help. All of your content creators and live show guys that you like to watch, we're all over there. So come over and say hi. We are always around. On the Gun Channel side, I sent you a link in the Gun Channel side and an email, so check it. Come on over. Raphael's over there. Tardot, John Z, Cycle Camp. On the YouTube side, man, it's kind of rocking already. Let's see here who all we got. We've got William Stanley. He said he's going to be driving home and listening. Don't kill yourself, my friend. Outsider, Snowy North Gunslinger, Patriot in the Dark, Gunpowder Beauty. What's going on? Rich White, the 1%, Shooting with Uncle Dan. Tardot, 30 Clipazine, Joe Ziola, Black Cat Outdoors, Too Hottie, Rick Nethery, Leonidas of Spartan. I love that. D-Temp, Sean Green, Tina's out there, Richard Chamberlain, Mel the Nut. What's up, Mel the Nut? And JB, John Brown Productions, Native Gun. Guys, if you're here on the YouTube side, please make sure that you say something in the chat. We don't know if you're here unless you say something in the chat. And if you're first time here, welcome to the show. And let us know where you are and all of that stuff. We like to make fun of the newcomers, but we only razz you just a little bit. We have a wonderful show tonight. We have some great panelists. So let's kind of get over to them and say hello. We've got our producer engineer from New York City, the John Z Project. What's up, my man? He must be gone. It must be the New York thing. All right, we're going to move on from him. We've got, I guess Grim is the educator. So Travis P must be the tactical teacher from Nebraska. Travis P. 11. What's up, man?
Hey, not much, man. Appreciate the invite. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
No problem. John, I see you go off mute. Are you back around, or is New York confiscating your mic?
Going after his Glockazine.
Don't say anything. I'm on a microphone.
All right. Well, how you doing, John?
They're banned in New York City now. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. We've got the operator himself, the man from the snowy north, the gunslinger, Snowy North Gunslinger. What is going on, my man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, not too much here. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. We've got, I don't know. He thinks he's cool. He thinks he's a stud. He thinks he's all this. He thinks he's a good businessman. He wears a lot of hats because he's not good at any of them, but we're going to say he's a friend of the friend of the family, friend of the show, the man from Funker Tactical, Tac Daddy. What's going on, my man?
I can't believe that. 19 years ago, in a little church in Boyd's, Maryland, I got married to my wife, and it's our anniversary, but we already took care of that celebration today, so now.
Is it your anniversary?
It actually is.
Oh, happy anniversary, my man. What are you doing on my show if it's your anniversary?
We celebrated last night. We celebrated all day today, and we're going to the beach tomorrow. So I can have a few hours off here and there. And she's
well, how's the weather in Florida right now? Is it pretty good?
Perfect.
Yeah,
it won't be for long, but it's good now. I'll see you guys out in the middle of the country soon.
All right, well, we'll see you this weekend for sure. And from Texas, the tactical leprechaun himself, Clovertac. What the hell is going on, my man?
What up? Hey, is that new music that I heard?
It is. It is When I Come Around. It's a original cover, and gentleman has given me permission to use it. So I love me some Green Day. So he did all the composition himself, drums, bass, guitar. Pretty cool. So yeah, he's let me use it, and I'm gonna do a shout out to him later on the show, as a matter of fact. But
Sweet.
What's going on with you, man?
I've been busy this week. I got to buckle down and get things going for NRA though.
When are you going to get there? Are you getting there Thursday night or what?
Probably Thursday night, unless I hear from Raquel and Joe, and then maybe earlier on Thursday. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Yeah, she did a live chat earlier. They're on their way.
Yeah, well, apparently, but yeah, there's she's been into the archery thing, you know, and there's a 3D like digital archery range outside of the Dallas area. So I said something about maybe meeting up there and checking that out. I've been there several times. It's pretty cool, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right, let's give a quick shout out to a couple guys that have just joined in. You got Dead Horses out there, Trauma Jock. What's going on? All right, and our last guest is I'm excited to have him on here. We actually met a few weeks ago at Wanamaker. He was there as a vendor. He's got a company that's selling some products, and we kind of struck up a conversation, did a quick interview with him, and we've been talking back and forth the last few weeks. But not only is he an Army veteran, he's got law enforcement experience behind him. He's obviously a pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment guy, but he's got a company that's out there trying to make it that's got some really cool products. But he is from Chicago. So welcome, Josh, to the show. Glad to have you, man.
Thanks for having me, Trey.
And Firearms 101 is out there. Hello. Yeah, they're talking about in the chat right now, they're talking about the president going to be NRA and all that. Should be fun. I don't know if it's going to be fun or not. He was there a couple years ago, apparently, and everything went well. But he might run into a little bit of opposition a little bit this time, which could make for really cool drama. There's going to be a lot of people down there protesting the NRA to begin with, and you might as well throw in a little Trump shots in there because I don't think that he's as popular among the community as he was maybe in 2016, but we'll see how it goes. Lead Life, sorry you're late. We can start now. Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's turn it off and we'll turn it right back on and start as if it was brand new. Maybe not. Let's see here.
Have they changed anything on the firearm policy, on the carry policy?
We were just talking about that before we went on air, and yeah, you can carry in there. So as long, I think what Tack was saying is you can carry unless they shut down a place where the president's going to be, that area that he's going to be at. Mm-hmm. But until that, yeah, I guess you can.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm assuming they'll make it very, very publicly aware of where the areas that you can't carry. Needless to say, there'll be a lot of guys with black suits and sunglasses with earpieces on, so you'll be able to tell where the president is, I'm assuming.
Right.
Now, I wonder, do you think Trump's going to show up all tacked out? That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Let's go with like a level 3 armor vest and some combat boots, and let's go ahead and get his face cammied up. I think that'd be awesome. That'd be a good look for him, I think.
Ghillie suit, man. Ghillie suit.
I mean, why not? Why? If you're going to go, let's go all out and go straight up ghillie suit with this thing. What do you think?
Yeah, his hair and his tan go a lot better with blaze orange. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got to
look like a lichen or some monster.
That actually goes good with orange. We might not have to. Maybe some gray and some black camo paint.
No,
leave some
you guys are all off.
open for the orange to pop out. You
go. This is the president of the United States. You don't go ghillie suit. You got to go dead president. If you want to go all out,
even better.
Face paint going on. Yeah.
I'm in. Yeah. I definitely think that's
watch cap, dead president. That's where it's at.
For sure. No doubt. No doubt. Sandhills, what's up, Sandy? How you doing, bro? All right, we got a good show tonight. We're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about teachers being armed, and we have our local teacher with us. They're going to talk about that. Talking about something that's happened here in my hometown in coalition with teachers and security task force and all that. Then we're going to talk about ATF regulations, whether or not they're enforceable, and if they are enforceable, how they go about regulating and enforcing some of these regulations. And we have Josh will actually be able to speak to that. He has some experience in that. We'll let him discuss it. But before we get going, guys, what I do want to do, John, before we take our first station break, I do want to let Josh talk a little bit about himself, his company, and his background. So, Josh, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to talk about Diplomacy Failure Inc. if you want.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So I am an active law enforcement agent. I have been for going on 16 years. I won't say where because the rules and regulations forbid me from talking on behalf of the department or anything could be construed as such. But I am an Army veteran pre 9/11 from 96 to 99. And I take the bar exam. I'm also a lawyer. I take the bar exam in July. I was on an ATF task force for just about 6 years. And primarily, gun confiscation was what we did. Specifically, felons, known felons with guns under the Project Safe Neighborhoods Act. So over time, it turns out that the equipment that people use in the Army, people use in the police department, is not actually created by anyone who actually uses it. To wit, the Fender Stratocaster guitar, the inventor, Fender, does not actually play guitar. And a lot of tactical equipment follows the same thread. So I started creating and making things that I thought law enforcement and the military could actually use.
Yeah, I would imagine that, like you said, a guitar player or a guitar manufacturer that doesn't play guitar, manufacturers or product creators that don't necessarily use them, that could be an interesting thing, especially when you're talking law enforcement. Some of these weapons, they might not have been designed for what you're trying to do. So we'll definitely talk about that. 2 live moves in the hizzy, Casino Boss. What is going on, Moo? All right, so the first thing we want to talk about, should we take our first station break, John? Do you want me to read it? Do you want to read it, or do you want me to go ahead and play it? I want to go ahead and play it. Our first station break, here we go. We're going to do something real quick here. I'll be right back. At Ghost Tactical, we understand the rising tensions across America regarding guns and gun control. It is important more than ever to be vigilant about our Second Amendment rights. We encourage everyone to stay informed and contact your local, state, and federally elected officials to make sure they're hearing your voice. They represent you, and without your input, their votes may be susceptible to outside influences. We ask that you actively support gun rights organizations such as Gun Owners of America, the Second Amendment Foundation, the Firearm Policy Coalition, and even the National Rifle Association. We understand you may not agree with the politics involved with some of these organizations, but we encourage you to keep up and support as many as you can. All right. Speaking of the NRA, obviously I think everyone knows that I'm not a supporter of the NRA, but maybe some things will change. They've got a new regime and some of the newly elected board members. So, okay, they're saying out there in the chat, tell Josh to speak up. He's a little bit low. So I will take care of that. And Josh, they're saying you're a little bit soft when you talk. I'm not calling you soft. I'm saying you're speaking softly. So anyways, but no, the NRA is going to have some new board members. They're going to try to do some new things. And I'm hoping that with what happens or what could possibly happen at NRA this weekend, that maybe they start hearing the people saying that they're fed up and they're ready for maybe some regime changes and some policy changes within the NRA. I think that we've all talked about, I would like to see maybe the NRA and the ILA split a little bit. I think the ILA is kind of what is giving the NRA a bad name. If the NRA would go back to education and training, I think that's exactly what they should do, and let the ILA be separate. Or at least allow us to funnel our money in the direction that we want it to go. If we don't want to funnel money to the ILA and we want to earmark it for education or training, I think we should be allowed to do that. So maybe there's some stuff coming down the line that will help out in that. So, Outsider, what's up? You're back finally. All right. All right. So what we're going to talk about first, guys, is teachers being armed in school, and maybe even some security task force and all that. And where I go with this real quick is this morning it was announced by our local school district superintendent that they're starting next school year in the 2018-2019 school year. there will be what he's calling basically a teacher or faculty special security task force. And I think what has happened is either a bunch of teachers asked him, or he asked some teachers that he knew maybe were proficient with firearms and all that. And I think a lot of teachers kind of maybe approached him as well about creating a task force for an active shooter scenario. And there are a lot of teachers in our area that do shoot and have guns and are willing and able to volunteer their time. And I believe that there will be a task force set up in our school starting next school year. And from what I understand from hearing about it and listening to a radio conversation he was having on the local radio station, that these teachers that are selected for this task force will go through 60 hours of training in late May, early July. And I'm assuming this is going to be with the sheriff's department, local police, and all of that. And then they'll also do an additional 20 hours, maybe in August, right before school starts. So I think this is a wonderful idea, and it's a positive step in the right direction. I hope maybe this catches on with other school districts that, they're not going to just allow any teacher to carry. They're going to go through a very secure vetting system. I believe that the sheriff had said that he's going to put them through all the background checks that he would put an applicant he's going to hire as a deputy. Same ones, all the training and all of that, which I think is phenomenal. It's a right step. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on what you think of something like this. Is it a step in the right direction, or is it bad, or what? But I want to start with Travis, since he is a teacher. What do you think about this, Travis?
Well, do they happen to have any positions open for Spanish or computer science teachers for next fall? Because I haven't turned in my contract yet for next year. No, man, really. I think it's a great way to do it. Obviously, I would love to see just simply the gun-free zones eliminated and anybody that's a licensed concealed carrier allowed to do so. But I also understand that school boards and parents want to rest assured that they've got highly trained individuals in there that are able to protect their kids, just like they have highly trained educators educating their children in their daily work. So I get that.
Continue the trend of becoming more involved. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. I am completely for it. The one problem we have with living in Nebraska is the fact that we got gun-free zones in schools. So are these people deputized? Is that how they're able to get around that? Or are there no gun-free zones in certain schools? Or how does that work in your state? Do you know?
There are gun-free zones, but what I will say is this, is from what I was understanding from what he was talking about, is they do not need to be a reserve deputy or deputized, because the school district is making this policy for only hours of school and on property. So, it's one of those things where I don't believe that they're going to have to go get specially deputized. Now, that being said, should they decide to bring in civilians that are, let's say, veterans or whatever, that are volunteers, and there becomes an issue with that, then there might be a possibility that the sheriff would maybe do a special reserve deputy type program to cover these people. But as far as I understand right away, is since it's only on school property and they are employees of the school, that they don't need any special deputization. I think they have to have their concealed carry permit, obviously, and go through training and all that. But I don't believe they have to be a reserve deputy at this time. Now, that might change depending upon maybe what the attorney general says or something like that. I don't know.
I think this sets a great example, because one of the biggest complaints I hear about people, when it comes to arming teachers is, well, I would never give this teacher a gun or that teacher a gun. They just assume that they're going to pass out Glock 17s at our next faculty meeting and let us all go back to class with a holster. That's not how it works. And I think this is a great first step in showing not first step. I mean, other schools are doing this obviously and have been, but I think it's a great first step in your area to let people know that this is the way things should be done to protect your kids. This is the reality that we're living in right now. And if they want their kids to be safe, unfortunately, this is the way it's going to have to be,
Yep. Lead Life out there is saying a school district there in Ohio just did the same thing. The board voted unanimously for it. I think it's a good thing. Yep. Earlier up there, Trauma Jock was saying he thought it should be for maintenance, admin, cafeteria staff, coaches. From my understanding, this is anyone who is an employee of the school district. So it could be anyone that's on campus that is an employee of the school district. So it's not just teachers. I probably misspoke when I said teachers, but most of the people that work there obviously are teachers, but it is open to, I believe, anyone who is an employee of the school district. So,
one thing I want to say, I want to criticize the idea that people think it should just be maintenance and custodians and this and that. It needs to be any teacher that wants to volunteer for. Some of these campuses are huge. You might have administration sitting in their main office, and they can't get to that classroom in 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes. But if you had somebody armed in every hallway, in every wing of every building, you could minimize the threat or eliminate the threat as quickly as possible. That's just my theory. I don't know. I'm just guessing that'd be one way to do it.
In our school district here, it's kind of weird because we have on one campus, we have elementary school, middle school, and high school. Yeah. Now, obviously, a landmass, it is a large campus.
Sure.
We also have 3 different schools on the same campus, plus football field, plus gym and all that encompasses cafeterias and all that. And we have 2 resource officers for the entire campus. So, yeah, I think this is something that you can't rely necessarily on the timing of a resource officer. I'm not saying they're not trying, but they might be on opposite sides of the campus. So this, I think, will definitely help in that situation.
All right, cool. Good to know.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I hope it's something that the other school districts in the state will do. Snowy, has anything happened up there in Wisconsin? Have you heard anything that something similar to this, or what do you think about this?
So the only thing that's kind of come out publicly so far is the Attorney General actually says he would be completely for Army teachers. Nothing solid has come through. I know the school district that I'm in, it has been proposed. I think it's still waiting to go through their councils and all their meetings and all that crap. But so far, nothing here in Wisconsin. But I am hoping that it goes that way. And I do hope that they kind of include members of the public. For example, where I currently live, I can throw a stone and hit the middle school, and I can throw a stone and hit the high school, and then I got to walk another half block and I hit the elementary school. So for somebody like me who has the training as a security contractor and as an executive protection agent, I can get to either of those schools if something like that happened. And it's the same thing. I know a lot of the teachers that teach in this area, and a lot of them are concealed carriers, and they have their wits about them. They know how to handle a firearm and everything. So for me, I am hoping that's something that does change in this area in the near future.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, I want to ask you this because for a lot of different reasons, but being in Parkland and your kids go to high school where the shooting happened, would something like this, how is something like this where not necessarily maybe just arming any teacher that wants to, but having maybe a security task force or something like that, how would you think that would go over in Parkland right now?
I'm going to take it in a slightly different direction, but address it
Sure.
for you if that's cool.
Yeah.
Keeping a hero's name out there, Coach Aaron Feist, this guy went to the high school, went away to college, came back, was a coach and a security agent. He's the guy that was sitting outside in the golf cart that every time after I dropped my kids off, I'd see him. He was in charge of the senior lot. He was a concealed carry permit holder, but he obeyed the law and did not carry on campus.
Right.
Gotten a lot more information since the last time I was on the air public talking about this with the details. But what I can share with you is that he was a hero in that he literally used his body to take bullets that were intended for other kids.
Right. Right.
When you think about that and you think about what he could have done in that situation, because someone came and got him and alerted him to what was happening, he ran towards the danger. He did what he could, but it really was nothing more than be a shield.
Right.
When you think about that, I think you'll understand what my feelings are about what a guy like that should have absolutely had the right to have with him, regardless of where he is.
Yeah. Well, I know that you personally would support this. I'm just trying to figure out, what do you think the community would, if they hear there's a security task force in the school or something like that? I know that you're for it, but I didn't know what the rest of the population might be.
Dude, there's so many other things that are going on right now. What I can tell you is the school is very secure. There's no doubt about that right now. It's definitely something that if you're going to go on that campus, you're going to either be on a list of parents or students or have your student ID without being questioned and talked to and et cetera right now. That's just the way it is. The truth of the matter is the county's a mess, and this whole situation's a mess, from the superintendent to the sheriff, who again got a no confidence vote from his fellow deputies. Overwhelmingly, it was a high 80%, something like that. So they have a no confidence vote on him. So we're waiting to see if he just chooses to get out of here and start. So we have law enforcement issues. We got school issues. We got the kid issues. We got the aftermath issues. We got the day-to-day of kids that are dealing with the stuff that they saw and experienced.
So they're probably not thinking about teacher task force and all that at this point.
There's a full investigation, but you have to remember, we also have to have trials and all that stuff here. So there's investigation, there's trials, there's a lot of people trying to do what they can now. And there's different groups that have been formed, but basically there's people that want to get in. The whole
thing with the sheriff down there is under some heat right now.
Again, he came out after it happened immediately and acted like it was the NRA's fault and the gun's fault. And we all know now that they could have. Again, one of the fathers today announced the lawsuit against the officer that could have gone towards the sound of gunfire and chose not to.
The one that was hiding behind the bushes, you mean?
Pretty much.
Yeah, just gonna say it. Yeah, sorry.
There's going to be a class act. There's going to be a class action suit against probably all of the law enforcement that failed in most people's minds at some point, in my opinion, by the victims.
Well, I mean, we had to expect that also. I mean, people, whether it's right or wrong, there's going to be lawsuits, you know.
Right. I mean, lawsuits are the name of the game. Now, as far as this sheriff goes, I would like to say, like, you have to remember the people, the civilians and the people that aren't in law enforcement. Sheriffs are elected. All right. Yeah, they wear a badge, they wear a gun, but they're politicians. Okay. Right. And this guy jumped on his political spotlight. And if they're not, and there's a reason, if you know, a lot of people are afraid of law enforcement in regards to gun grabbing and things like that. But if you think about it, the people that you see coming out that wear a badge and a gun, that are against the NRA, that are against you know, the citizens having their rights, it's never the police unions. It's always some chief of police who's appointed by the mayor or is himself a politician. It's never the rank and file police. So there's no confidence vote. Cops can smell a politician a mile away, and just because he's dressed like us doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you always have to keep in mind, and we always have to keep in mind is we're very lucky to have a great sheriff here, and in most southern states and kind of rural areas, you know, we kind of know these people. They're not just the sheriff. They're not this. We actually are involved in the community. We see them at church. We see them out in restaurants. In some of these bigger towns, you may not really know this guy or this woman who is the sheriff and all that, and that's just the reality of it. And but we always have to remember is they're humans. They have families. They have kids that probably go to school as well. But what I think the lack of confidence vote came by, in my eyes, and I might be wrong. And Tack, if I'm speaking out of place here, please feel free to correct me. But I think that one of the things that is not necessarily that he's a bad person. It's not the fact that they don't think that he is a coward or anything like that. It was the fact that there are things that happen within his department that were not done correctly in the public eye. Whether or not they were done legally the right way or not is that's a whole different issue. But publicly, I think there were things that did not happen the way that people thought they should have. And ultimately, he is the sheriff. He is the boss. And if they are tactics or procedures or policies that are implemented by him is the reason why some of these people didn't do what they were supposed to, then of course he is going to be the ultimate person to take that brunt of the blame. So like I said, it is almost something. He is a politician. He does have a family and all that. But when you're the law enforcement face of that county and there's something that tragically that happens in your county, you're going to have to understand if something bad goes wrong, then you're going to blame. Now, if something was done heroically and they stopped this guy, then he was going to be a hero and he probably could have run for whatever office he wanted to statewide. But that's just the way it happens. And maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
No, you're not. I mean, the buck stops there. You know, If you're the sheriff, you're the sheriff. And I think the no confidence vote by his officers is more along the lines, is probably closer to failure to train. Like they don't have the equipment, they don't have the manpower, they don't have the tactics, they don't have the training, and now this horrible event has occurred, and
that's part of it. That's part of it. With all due respect, the real thing is the palpable angst towards that uniform as a result of that situation.
Yeah. So no matter who was there,
when you have groups that got stacked up, and were told hold back at 500 yards, and the neighboring department went past them to go start helping and pull out bodies and save kids, and they were responsible for all of the extractions, and the BSO, once again, the agent that was there, or the officer that was on campus, and all of the responding officers did nothing in essence.
Well, that's insane. That's
Massive
beyond. A failure is where you go in and you're shot. That's a failure. There is no excuse for cowardice. I mean, regardless, I can say every school shooting training, and I've been in this game for a while, that I've received is you approach it like Mr. Smith from the Matrix. You just keep going in there, and if you get killed, then the next guy, then the next guy, then the next guy, until we run out of cops, and then we call the army. Whatever.
And again, much respect for that perspective, because that we had this conversation literally at the dinner table tonight. We were having some questions about some things, and we were talking about things because we do pretty much every other day have a conversation about another specific aspect, and we were talking about that. And ever since Columbine, that's been the rule. You get there and you go in. You wait for anything. There is no perimeter to be set up. You go towards the sound of where people are being harmed, and you take care of business. And that's what the training should be. And you made a valid point earlier about the lack of training. I think I heard the other day that it had been a few years since those units had gone through that type of a scenario where they all had to be at one place at one time, responding and going after an audible threat that was again doing bad things.
Oh, I would bet at least a couple of those officers have never had it.
Agreed.
I say it all the time. Nothing ever happens till it does. But the problem is, the bureaucrats don't want to pay. They don't want to pay the money. And if you go through other lawsuits against police officers, ultimately the police officers is ultimately indemnified, but the city still pays. And the reason the city pays is lack of training, almost always.
Well, so here's a question that's kind of coming out of my little pea-sized brain mind is when they were telling those officers to hold back, what was the point of setting up a perimeter when you still hear that the shooter's inside the building? Were they assuming that there was another shooter coming out of the woods somewhere, that it was more of a priority to put a perimeter around there? So for me, that just shows that there is a lack of training, and that's something that I'm kind of wondering if anybody else can answer, because to be honest, I can't think of a reason why you set up a perimeter.
I can probably maybe answer that, but I want to take a shot at it and see. This is probably what my thought would be. Two things. One, setting up the perimeter could be, like you said, they don't know how many shooters there are. They don't know if this is an attack of multiple people rushing from multiple positions in the school. So setting up a perimeter could be one of those things where they might think in their minds, well, let's prevent any more people coming in if there are more people. I mean, they at the time, I'm assuming they probably didn't know how many there were and what all was going on. They just heard shots and everyone starts freaking out. So I think that's probably, and I'm not a law enforcement, but I'm assuming that that's probably one of the first things that you do is set a perimeter to make sure that you can control the environment. The second side of that is why they set a perimeter is, my personal opinion is I think that that's a cop out for saying, I don't want to go in. I'm going to set the perimeter up, guys. Well, you guys go ahead and go, but I'm going to stay out of here and set the perimeter. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm out of line by saying that, but I'm assuming that there are probably people that would much rather set up a perimeter than actually go in and try to take care of the situation. But
I just say one.
Yeah, go for it, John.
And I believe this too. I've said this many times. So Trauma Jock says, if shooters are planning far enough ahead, they will plan for that. Basically, any situation you could think of. The defensive tactics should be broadcasted everywhere. And I've been saying that for years and years and years. Same thing with the federal government telling everybody what their plans are to go into Iraq and Afghanistan. Stop freaking giving out all the goddamn details of what your plans
The details of going in to stop somebody?
No, the details of the defensive and also on the offensive. But in this case, we're talking about the defensive. Only the people who need to know, period.
Real quick, I want to give a couple shout outs to people that have joined. We got I know there's not 52 people out there talking, but Night Wolf's out there, Thermo Redneck with a paycheck, HBO Matt's out there, Sarge is out there, Pacini's out there. I probably missed a couple. If you've joined and I haven't given you a shout out, I apologize. Like I said, the chat's moving pretty good. Georgia Truckers out there. So yeah, there's a lot of good discussion going on out there. That if you guys have a question that you want to get read, please try to tag me in the chat, and hopefully I'll be able to see it. If not, email me at live@ghosttactical.us, and I will get to those questions and we'll read them on air. But I apologize if I'm not seeing everything. It is kind of going good, and I'm really liking. Hey, Recoil's out there, Andrew Faulkner's out there. So yeah, I want to say if you tag me, and maybe hopefully I'll see it. I haven't gotten to Clover yet. And Clover, you've been quiet and I've been patient. I appreciate you, but I want to give you your time as well. What, if anything, have you heard in Texas or in your area is teachers being armed or having a security force or whatever? Is there anything that, hey, Sarge, I sent you a link, Sarge. If you want to jump in, come on in. But have you heard anything, or what do you think about teachers being put on maybe on a security task force or something at school?
Well, as far as around here, and I've said it in this, one of my biggest gripes, and I'm sure it's all across the country. It's not just here. It's not just a Texas thing, but we don't have the money. I mean, we don't have the money to have even a resource officer, or even rudimentary measures of security is what you hear. But then they'll pass a $6 million bond for a new baseball field or football stadium or basketball coliseum, right? Because that's more important than safety, of course. And then should something happen, everybody's going to whine and say, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Well, look at where the money went. Anyway, that being said, that's more or less the general area, and it irks me to no end that sports takes precedence over everything around here. As far as Texas goes, we've got the Texas Department of Safety School Safety Program. I want to say is what it is, which is a joint effort between Texas Department of Public Safety and then I guess TEA, Texas Education Agency, or whatever they call that now. And the school districts can opt into that, and there are a few that do that. Now it costs money because of the training and a lot of the other things. But I mean, I don't have a problem with teachers, faculty, people that work for the school district being a part of some type of a response or task force or what have you. The biggest thing that I would have concerned with, and again, here in Texas, I mean, we've got a program. I know a couple of the instructors anyway that teach it, and there's very few that teach it. So, I mean, it's one heck of a program. And assuming that you've got the right kind of training, because what you deal with, I also know very well a lot of the law enforcement officers around here. They are not operators. They are not tacticians. They are not former military. They do really good to pass their qualifications every year with a firearm. And, I'm sure that, their hearts are in the right place, but I say it all the time. We're dealing with an issue across this country where we're getting more and more law enforcement officers, no offense to the good ones that are out there and that choose that career, but we're getting more and more that are going into law enforcement for a job. It's not their passion. They don't eat, sleep, and breathe it like Sarge out there. Some of the other.
Why do you think that is?
it's that way across the board. So I mean, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not picking on law enforcement.
If you had to speculate, I mean,
I think they get into it and they can literally ride around, do a little bit of paperwork. At least this area, and I'm talking about this area. I can't speak.
No, and I'm not offended. I'm not offended at all.
But I mean, it's a very, at least the academies around here. I mean, it's not like going to be a Texas Highway Patrol. That's a grueling process to go through that academy. Just to go through and get a basic peace officers, intermediate, advanced, whatever. It doesn't require a whole lot. It's not too terribly expensive to do. And I think that may play into it as well. But back to my point in dealing with the task force and the teachers, because you have that situation to where you have, it seems like you have more law enforcement officers that are on the job rather than on a career, that they're going to be responding. And I think it's very important that any situation you set up like that, you train together, you have some cohesiveness as a unit, whether it's safe words, safe colors, they're that way when they do respond, you don't have collateral damage because you've got a team in place and the responding officers are not aware of what's going on. So I think it needs to be training across the board if it's done.
Yeah. Josh, you have anything that you how are his statements accurate in a general sense of you see people looking into law enforcement instead of being a passion but more of a job?
Yeah, I mean, for one, I'm a training officer. I'm not just a regular police officer. I train the kids coming out of the academy.
Right.
And, and I've been screaming this for 7 years now. When you strip away the honor from the job, when you strip away the respect of the job, when you strip away everything else, there's only one thing left, and that's the money. And what you're going to get is people going there to collect a paycheck. And, you do the best you can to wash out those kind of people. But the problem is, once these cities, so it's kind of like, well, just make it work. And it doesn't work. And the thing is that this job is not for everybody. It just simply isn't. And, there's a reason that the majority of police officers killed in line of duty are between 8 to 10 years, because there's that you get lackadaisical. Like I said, nothing ever happens till it does. And so, I agree with what he was saying. It's imperative to stay up on your training and to approach it like a profession and not a job. And this is what I tell my kids. This is your profession now. This is not a game. As far as going back to what Trauma Jock was saying, and I can't remember who was agreeing with him as far as knowing the plans. That's a two-edged sword, right? So if your policies are, we will continue to come after you no matter what, until we run out of people. There are people that can prepare for that. That you're absolutely right. But it works both ways. It will also dissuade people. A dedicated shooter, there's nothing you're going to do or say, regardless of whether he knows the plan or whether he doesn't the plan. He has no intention on leaving there alive. He just intends on, these people all have something in common. They have a tremendous amount of pain inside them, or whatever you want to call it, and they want to share it with others. And they intend on doing that. So I think I think the troubled kid, or something like that, you may be able to stop, you may be able to dissuade. But we're talking about a jihadist, and we're talking about a Timothy McVeigh. There is nothing, regardless of what they know or don't know, that is going to stop that kind of action. Right. And quite frankly, it's not so much about. When I talk to liberals about this, they're like, well, we have to curtail the Second Amendment. We have to, some of these weapons of war, quote unquote. And I say, if you really wanted to stop school shootings, this didn't just drop out of the sky. If you really wanted to stop school shootings, you would stop saying these people's name on television. You would stop putting their face on Time magazine, because that's what really fuels it. Far more than any gun law could ever do is the publicity they get. Because again, these people are messed up. They have pain inside. They want to share it with the world. And what better way to do that than to have Dateline dig into their entire life so everyone knows why they did what they did? It's, I mean, God, has anyone seen Seven? I mean, that's basically the plot. And that's how these people operate. But no one likes that, because now we're talking about the First Amendment, and that's an amendment that people actually care about, at least the liberals, I mean.
Yeah. I want to mention Patriot out there. Patriot says his daughter's school district trains with the police department, but the students are still taught to hide under their desks and be quiet. They're not explained what the training is for. So that brings up something that I want to go back to Travis with. And I know you might have to leave here pretty soon to go to the show, but I want to go to you real quick. I know all schools do certain training, whether it's tornadoes or whether it's, they even might have active shooters training. But when they do that, are the students and teachers informed of what the training is? One, and two, are they told what it is for? And I'd like for you to sit, and I don't know if you can, but if you are able to kind of explain to us what maybe some training that your school has done in active shooters type scenarios that and I want to hear what you guys do, and are you guys notified ahead of time? Are you taught what to do? Are the students taught what to do as well?
We have our safety training that we go through the first couple of days of school. We have little pocket cards they give us and little charts that we hang up in our classroom with our emergency packets that if they call down for a lockout or a lockdown or evacuate the building, you grab the packet, you know exactly what you need to do. You do go over those things again. The students themselves, we really don't like to advertise what the procedure is going to be if we had to evacuate the building or if there was a lockout, because you don't want to give away that strategic edge to a kid that might want to come in and do something and know how to do it. I mean, even the way that we do, fire alarms. I mean, I can say this and it should only make sense. The teacher is the first one that walks out of the classroom, not the students, all right? Because of the last, the shooting that we had where the fire alarm was pulled and the kids came out and then the person opened fire. But I mean, there is practice that does happen. But we typically don't tell the kids. I mean, we don't even know. We just know, hey, just give you a heads up this week at some point, we're going to practice, a lockout. We're going to practice a lockdown. You don't really know when it's going to happen. I mean, you're just and honestly, you're just going about your day when they call for it. And then you go through the procedure and, the law enforcement goes through the building with the administration and they make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then they make sure that, you're following the procedure, got your door locked, got your blinds closed, keeping everybody away from the glass by your door, and that kind of thing. But that's pretty much what we do for right now. That's as much as we can do with what we have for, the ability to defend ourselves and protect our kids.
Yeah, I was always kind of wondering because, the reason why I asked that question is obviously a drill, and let's call them the safety drills, whatever you want to call them. A safety drill for a tornado is probably going to be, for the students aspect, is probably going to be much, much different than it would be for an active shooter. Or would it? Is it the same? Are they just told to get under their desk? Or, I mean, without giving that information out that may not be public, but I mean, are students basically told no matter what the situation, get underneath your desk, or how does that play out?
When it comes to
it's definitely different, because one of the things in a shooter situation is cover and concealment, and you really have to dig that into people's heads.
Well, sure, but that might not be taught right now. That was why I was asking them.
From the kids' perspective, we'll say when it comes, there's a lot of ideas that are shared. It's being organized, being orderly, being quiet once you get to the place you're supposed to go to. It's, being in an area of cover or safety. Obviously, we do the tornado drills being in Nebraska. For us, it's actually moving to another class that's on the inside of the building, not the outside where the windows are. For the active shooter, the kids know that they need to move over against the wall and away from the door. We get them over because our classrooms have cinder block walls. You move them away from the door, you make sure the door's locked, you turn the lights off. If it's a lockout situation, everybody sits against the wall, the teacher's there, and just away from the door and the window, obviously. And, that's pretty much the logical lockout that you would do. That's what you can do with your classroom and your students, and nothing to do to protect yourself except lock a door. So, from the kids' perspective, they're told what the procedure is going to be. They know to to follow that procedure, because you explained at the beginning of the year that we will practice these things over the course of the year, and they need to make sure for their own safety that they follow instructions, and they do.
Yeah. Real quick before we get going any further, we're going to go ahead and take our second public service announcement real quick, so hang on tight. We here at Ghost Tactical would like to continue the trend of becoming more involved in gun safety and training. We encourage everyone, no matter your skill level, to continuously look for training in your local area. We think that taking a gun safety course every other year is important. We also believe that taking classes and training for self-defense and home defense are extremely important. Make sure to go looking for classes and training opportunities when you can. This not only helps you become more proficient with your firearm, but it also helps support your local instructors and the Second Amendment community as a whole. All right. So John just sent me a text. He said, you need a little cartoon video to play with the audio file. I might have to work on that. You never know what's going to happen. But
I'll try to find you something.
Or something. Yeah, it'd be fun. Sarge is in the hizzy. What's up, Sarge? How you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. How you guys doing this evening?
Good. We're going to kind of transition a little bit from the school stuff over to briefly the ATF stuff and ATF regulations, and are they enforceable? And if they are enforceable, how does that happen when you start talking about gun confiscation and all of that? And I know that, Sarge, you're a law enforcement, so you and Josh have a unique perspective on this that we probably may not know some of this stuff. But Josh, I want to start with you first because you do have experience in ATF task force. When information is brought to the ATF about an individual that might be, how do we put this, going against some regulations, and it's serious enough where the ATF wants to do something about it, how is that process usually step by step? And you may not know all the steps because you might not have experience in all that, but what happens usually when they decide, okay, we've got to go do something about this person, and you've been on task force that have gone to serve different warrants and different things like that. So kind of give us an idea for us that may not have a clue how this works, how it happens.
Well, I've done just about probably better part of 2,000 warrants. Now, the majority, you have to understand from the ATF, at the ATF local level, right? And where we're at, our main concern is going to be your straw purchaser. So somebody who's buying weapons for people who can't buy weapons. And when I say can't buy weapons, I mean convicted felons.
Right.
And essentially, as I was listening to you guys last week, and you were talking about registration and the concerns about registration, and
whether or not they already haven't registered.
Right. Well, Trauma Jock, get ready for your head to explode, because you guys you're about 20 years too late. The fact of the matter is that there are multiple, and I'm not just talking, even insurance companies have these data systems. If I so choose to put your name in, every gun, unless it's a person-to-person purchase, every single gun you have ever bought, I have the 7 points of identification on it. That means the make, the model, the serial number, whether it's blue steel or chrome, when you bought it, and this is how you get straw purchasers. So if we get information leading us to believe that this person's a straw purchaser, i.e., a housewife or a single mother that goes in and buys 6 9mm high points. Well, guess something's wrong there. Something's wrong. All right. So, you go there and you demand records. You either produce these guns and show them to us, or you show us what happened to them. And if you can't, that's a felony. And when I say, it's not just about the guns, I could put your name in and I could find out every job you ever had, every place you ever lived at, your social, where, all your neighbors, all their socials, all their telephone numbers, every car you've ever owned, every car your sister's ever owned. and this report comes out, it's about 30 pages, and it can be done on anyone. And this technology has been around for and is used for quite some time. So the worry over whether or not the government knows what guns you have, that ship has sailed. It sailed long ago, unless, of course, it's a person-to-person sale. If you bought it from a store, then that's it.
Let me ask this question real quick, Josh, for the argument's sake, from the people that will sit there and say, well, that can't be true. The FFL doesn't ever give the FBI or the ATF serial numbers or information and all that. So the devil's advocate side of me says, how is that possible? How is it possible if the FFL is not supposed to give them that information? How are they supposed to understand how to get that information? And I think we all know the answer, but I'd like for you to answer that.
Well, it's called an F-tip, and I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the full name is, but that's the cop term for it, and that's how it works. I mean, essentially, the gun shops, at least, I can only speak regionally as far as where I'm at. I'm fairly confident this is a national database, that this is through all 50 states, but that may not be the case. They have to keep a record of where these guns have actually gone, and you are required to keep a record of where your guns have gone. So if the government becomes aware that you have this firearm and you can't account for it, if you see those billboards that say "Don't lie for the other guy, face 10 years in prison," that's straw purchasing. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
And those billboards are part of the Project Safe Neighborhoods initiative, which is what that task force was. I mean, it's how it's done. I mean, I have to keep this super vague.
Yeah, I understand.
This case is really old, but just on safety's sake, I hit places, guns come back to people they shouldn't come back to. If I'm,
right,
hitting a place in one part of town, and this person, it's hard for me to believe they know this other person. This gun is registered to this other person. I go back. It turns out this guy's bought 300 guns in the last year. And on top of that, he's bought them, he's returned them, he buys them, he returns them. This is a kind of a regional thing, but that's basically a gun library. He rents out a gun. He buys a gun, gives it to somebody. They do a crime. He returns the gun back to the gun shop. It's like it never happened. Those are the kind of things that we're looking for, and those are the kind of things, or that we were looking for, and those kind of actions that we take. Now, as far as if you're talking about, bump stocks, if you're talking about, using shoulder and a forearm guard, as far as my son's godfather's an ATF agent. We were battle buddies in the Army, and as I understand it, a lot of, just because there's a lot of laws like shouldering a wrist guard or whatever, they're not enforced. It's kind of like medical marijuana. Is it on the books? Yeah, marijuana is still illegal in all 50 states. Is it enforced by the federal government? It really isn't, right?
I mean, there's only so many manpower and any hours that you can, I guess in a certain extent, you probably have to prioritize everything and go towards the ones that actually are dangerous versus the ones. I mean, there are times off and on, and it still goes back and forth as far as being able to shoulder a SIG brace. But let's say it's at a time where you're not supposed to shoulder a SIG brace, and I'm still shouldering a SIG brace. I can't imagine someone's going to be out the range saying, "Oh, excuse me, sir, we're going to have to arrest you for shouldering that SIG brace."
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I mean, it just simply isn't.
Mad Sexy says, "What state is he talking about?" Well, you live in Illinois, but when you're talking about this task force, was that primarily in Illinois, or was that in multiple states?
Well, I'm still a local law enforcement agent, so law enforcement, you're only sworn in your state. And which
Right.
could be frustrating, because there were a number of leads that crossed over from my state to another state, and they were really viable, but I couldn't pursue them because I had no law enforcement powers there.
Right.
Again, I can't speak on behalf of my department, but if you Google my name, it isn't that hard to figure out.
Yeah. All right. So I want to ask Sarge real quick, in your law enforcement background, Have you ever been involved or in contact with an ATF agent that has had to go and how do I put this, regulate things? Or do you know of anyone that has been in contact with an ATF confiscation of any kind?
I mean, are we talking about just ATF violations or a gun confiscation? Because it's
We're talking more gun confiscations. Obviously, there's ATF regulations that are being broken all the time, like you said. But I'm talking about something important enough for the ATF to actually do something about it, whether it's a confiscation or going to arrest somebody for breaking a regulation, but something that the ATF is actually coming to your area to handle a problem.
I mean, that's not uncommon at all. I live in a more rural area, but that's not uncommon at all. I mean, several years ago, just while serving normal civil process, managed to uncover 120, I think it was, illegally obtained firearms, as well as a small, I guess it's called a Laws, a small little shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. I mean, we found you can find things everywhere. Just depends. So, but yes, I have assisted at different times.
So when they come to town, quote unquote, and they do all that stuff, and let me ask you this, and I'll ask, and obviously Josh is pro gun, but are a lot of these agents anti-gun, or are they pro-gun and they hate doing some of this stuff, or is it truly there as a job? I mean, how do you guys? Most of these ATF agents that do these task force, do they enjoy doing this, or is it just a job?
Well, I mean, the ones I've had contact with enjoyed it. I live in like I said, it sounds like Josh is from a more metro environment, which is just a totally different situation. If we're talking about selling guns from one side of town to the other, that's a totally different situation than what we're dealing with. We're just one county away from the local ATF office, so it's not like when they come to town it's a big deal. They're over here all the time. It's just sometimes it's minor stuff, occasionally it's major stuff, but I haven't seen any of them that are anti-gun at all. It seems like most of them got into this because it's what they like, and they just want to regulate it. So
yeah. Well, I also imagine that they probably, you're a law enforcement officer somewhere else or with a different department, and you get chosen for a task force. So most of the time, you don't actually maybe necessarily apply for the task force. You might just get chosen by your superiors, say, "Hey, I think this guy will be good for your task force." So, like I said, I was just wondering because I've never known anyone that has been a part of an ATF raid, and I didn't know if these people were anti-gun and they enjoyed going and arresting people or whatever, or it's just a job. It's just one of those things that I've never had an experience with, so I didn't know.
I mean, the reality is that, I mean, the star or the badge and the gun come right off. Okay. And a lot of these guys, a lot of law enforcement are prior military. And nobody gets in this, well, the majority of police don't get in this to mess with law-abiding people, right? I mean, those stereotypes are there, and I'm a firm believer that stereotypes exist for a reason. The guy who never got respected in high school, so he got himself a badge, and now he's somebody. Those guys are out there, and the real cops hate him as much as the citizens do. But the reality is that if once you swear your oath, you're going to be enforcing laws that you really don't agree with. I mean, I'm a libertarian, which means I don't really believe in gun or in gun laws or drug laws for that matter. There's no paradigm to show me that the war on drugs will end any way differently than the war on alcohol will. That being said, I have put a ton of people in prison for drugs, and that's my job. It's not up to me to decide the laws and things like that. And the ATF operates a lot of the same way. But I can tell you that, I mean, these guys are going after national security risks. They're going after homeland security risks. They're going after, we're talking about stockpiles of weapons. The regular citizen who modifies his SKS just simply doesn't pop up in the radar, and is just not a good use of their resources in anywhere I can think of.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna have a few minutes left. I want to go real quick and do our last public service announcement before we talk about the drill of the month. The public service announcement is for the Gun Channels Blitz. So we're going to do this real quick. We'll come back and talk about drill of the month, announce the previous winner, and talk about this month's drill. So just hang on tight. At Ghost Tactical, we're always trying to help support and encourage new 2A content creators. By turning on your camera, you too can be a vital cog in the Second Amendment community. We encourage everyone to become part of the solution. While saying that, we like to spotlight a channel that we feel is an important voice and needs help getting seen. Tonight, we spotlight Snowy North Gunslinger. Snowy brings an intriguing perspective and has recently started his own live podcast. Please go check his channel out. If you like what you see, subscribe to him and click the notification bell. Also, leave a comment on one of his videos with the hashtag GunChannelsBlitz. It just so happens that Snowy's in the house right now. So I want to say Snowy is doing a phenomenal job. He is a private contract security guy, so he brings a really cool perspective. He started a podcast not too long ago. I happened to be able to sit in on one a few days ago, which I thought it was a great conversation, really good content that you've written out there, a lot of good information. So I want to say congratulations to Snowy for having the courage to kind of turn your camera on and go live. And it's not something that everybody can do. So I want to say congrats, and I love what you're doing.
Hey, I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support from everyone on Gun Channels and everyone on the panel and everyone that I've gotten to meet throughout this time. It's definitely been an honor, and I look forward to working with everybody and continuing on what I've started.
Yeah, you're doing a heck of a job. So, guys, go ahead and check out Snowy's channel. If you're watching a replay, the link is in the chat as well. You can click on that. If you happen to like his stuff, we're not trying to sit there and say, go subscribe to Snowy just because we tell you to or just because he's on the panel and we think he's a heck of a guy. We're not saying that at all. We're saying go check out his channel. I truly think that you're going to enjoy his content. If not, so be it. But if you do, go ahead and push that subscribe button and maybe that notification bell so you get notified when the live streams come on or when he uploads a new video. If you really would like to do something for him, then go and comment on some videos. And you can put the Gun Channels Blitz hashtag out there. But more importantly, go and comment on videos as much as you can, because for me, I love getting that engagement. I love getting that notification that someone's commented on a video of mine, because it means that you're actually watching. You have something to say, whether it's good or bad. And if it's not anything good, it's okay. Go ahead and comment. I'm one of those people. I don't mind hearing criticism. If it's something that I'm saying or doing that you get offended by or you think is wrong, please let me know. I can't speak for the other content creators in here, but I think most of them feel the same way. Go ahead and let us know what you think, and if there's something we need to work on or do better, then constructive criticism is always a good thing. But Snowy, I really did enjoy the chat a couple days ago, so I really appreciate you having me on, and thanks for coming on tonight as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Anytime.
All right, so what we're going to talk about real quick before we get out of here is we're going to talk about the drill of the month. This is the May drill of the month, and I like to kind of give them names that people can remember and all that. And this month is going to be what I call Spelling Bee. And luckily, Josh is here, and Josh came up with this target for different reasons than drill of the month. He sells these, and it's for a specific reason. But what this is, and this drill of the month, I'm giving you 10 shots from 10 feet, and you can, pick out whatever words you can. There's different point scales for hitting different parts of the letter and all of that. We'll kind of do this as the competition. And I want Josh, if you got a second, to explain the real world reasons for this target. He's also it comes in a poster size. And I say poster, it's an enormous target. And if you look on the Drill of the Month video link, there is a link in the description to go buy the poster size target. He is giving everybody 25% off if you use the code GHOST, which thank you very much for that. He's also being very, very generous to give the winner this month a Diplomacy Failure Inc. hat and a Hog speed reloader system, which I have. I got it Wanamaker. It's awesome for Glock. So, but Josh, thank you for doing that, and explain to me what the target is, the war target is in general terms, not just for drill of the month.
Yeah, sure. I explained a little bit of it at Watermaker, and so like I said, I started diplomacy failure because a lot of the tactics and the things that we were doing and the equipment we were using, it just really didn't ring true, and a lot of it was outdated. So keeping in that theme of mind, we go to the range, or a lot of people go to the range and they shoot their their crazy Ivan type silhouette target. They get their Weaver stance, they punch it out, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's better than nothing. But the reality is, what you want to do is get proper target acquisition. Now the part of your brain that is actually the shooting side, the reaction side, the point shoot side, that side is great to actually put rounds on a target, right? You can get fast, you get your speed timer. But the problem is, in a real situation, you're going to need to be able to acquire the proper target, and that's going to take thinking. So this target that I created, what it does is basically one of the hardest things for us to do on this pressure is a spell. So some of us that are a little bit older, when you were sitting at your desk waiting to write, you're cursing near the board, your heart starts beating more and more and more because you're nervous, because under pressure, spelling is very hard. So I created this target with the idea of not just aim small, miss small, but you want to build the synapses in your brain. They're like the tendons in your arm. So that critical thinking side, that thinking, that analytical side of your brain is a different side of your brain than the muscle memory side, which is your shooting side. And you want to link those two sides by the synapses in your brain. The way you do that is by using this target. You shoot the word in the proper order. Because if you think about it, when you're at the range, you're putting 10,000 rounds down range, you're hitting center mass every time, and that's great. But if a guy breaks in your house and he's coming up the stairs and you're coming down the stairs with your firearm, it's a good chance you want to hit that guy in the heart. You want to end the fight. And there's a good chance it's not going to be standing right in front of you, 10 to 15 feet or yards. It's going to be down to your right. So you want to train like you fight the best way you can. And what this does is it teaches you that the target may not be right in front of you, which is obvious. But the idea is that just because it's obvious to your conscious mind, when you get down to that base level of training, it may be a lot harder. So by shooting the word in different order, it trains your brain not just to find a target, but to shoot the proper target in the proper order.
Yeah, and I love it. And like I said, there's a box with like a jewel and then the letter in there. So the way I'm doing it, and that's different from on the poster. It gives you kind of an idea, but the way that I'm doing it for drill a month is if you get the box, it's 1 point. If you hit the jewel part of it, it's 2 points. If you actually hit the letter, it's 3 points and all that. But what it is, I'm trying to get people to be more proficient with their firearms and to aim small and miss small. And for those of it shoot a lot, the aim small, miss small is pretty important, because if you really try to focus in on a very minute part of a target and you do miss, chances are you're not going to miss the person. It's going to miss it an inch or two off and all of that. So I really love that target. And guys, like I said, Josh has been very gracious to when I say this is a poster size, it's a big poster that has all this. So go check it out. And well, okay, there's something going on in the chat, and I apologize if my mods are out there and it needs to be cleaned up, then take care of it. That's what your mod's for, so do what you got to do. Anyways, yeah, thank you for that. He's giving a discount code, 25% off of the poster targets with the code GHOST. So the link is in the drill of the month video. He's also going to give out some goodies to the winner, so thank you for that. Before we get out of here, I do want to discuss the March. Now, guys, I apologize. In April, I did not get a chance to put out a drill of the month between the 23 inches of rain that we received in the month of April, plus just being busy at work and Wanamaker and all that. There's a lot of reasons why, but I apologize. I should have tried to make time, but I was not able to make time to get the April drill of the month out there. So I'm sorry for that. Hopefully you guys enjoy the May one. But the March drill of the month winner was Calaveras 32 Special. So congratulations, Dale. Dale sent me a message saying that he didn't think his shooting was very good, and I had to remind him it's not always about how good of a shooter you are. The whole purpose of me starting to drill the month up last fall was to get more people out to the range. Everyone seems to have reasons why they can't get to the range on a regular basis, and their proficiency and their marksman skills, they suffer because of that. So if you have to throw a little game, a little competition, and some freebie giveaways to encourage people to get out to the range, then fantastic. That's why I started this. So it's not always about how well you shoot. It's about that you're out there trying to get better. And I see Dale out there always. He's emailing me and asking me questions. He's asking other people questions, and he's out there trying to get better at his marksman levels. So I appreciate the fact that he is staying vigilant on that. So it's not always about being the best. It's about getting better. That's the whole point. So thank you to everyone who continuously participates in the hey, what's up? Speaking of Dale, he's in the hizzy. So thank you for Dale for winning the March one, and I hope you guys enjoy the May drill of the month. And once again, thank you, Josh, for your generosity. It's really great. Let's see here. Go ahead and show that one. That's fine. We're going to run through the room real quick and let you guys get out of here. Hit or Miss just went live a few minutes ago on the YouTube side. The channel is Night Strike 1. On the gun channels, it's Hit or Miss. Go check out Night Strike and Smeggy and Travis and all those guys. Probably Sandhills is over there. But we're going to run through the room real quick and let you plug your channels, your products, your shows, anything and everything you want to do. So we're going to start with Snowy. Snowy, thanks again for coming on, and plug away, my man.
All right. So if you guys haven't, please come over here on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. And on Instagram, we are 9 away from hitting 500 followers on Instagram. At that point, I will be doing a giveaway. So if you guys haven't, go over there and follow me on there. I have some very interesting things in the work for that giveaway, so I think everybody will be excited once I actually announce what that is. Other than that, on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I run my weekly show, and I am looking at possibly adding a second one in there as well. Other than that, thanks for having me, Ghost, and I appreciate you giving me the invite.
Love having you. Have an open invite, bro. Anytime you want it on, just let me know. And I know that your time might not be as available in the near future, but if you ever get a chance on Tuesday nights, give me a shout and we'll get you on for sure. Sarge, thanks for coming on. I know you weren't here long, and I didn't really get you a whole lot of opportunity to say a whole lot, but tell us, everybody out there, about your channel and your shows and your videos that are coming out.
Well, I appreciate the invite. I was, the youngers, and we had to grab some dinner on the way home, but I wanted to jump in on the school shooting part, and I got in a little bit late, but I do appreciate the invite.
I want to see about that.
Got our next live stream Thursday night at 8 p.m. East, and I've got a couple videos coming out this weekend. I got a train and drill video, and then I got the giveaway video getting ready to start. We're going to give away a hat. We're going to give it away live May 31st, and we just hit 650 subs tonight, and we're on the quest for 1,000. So I appreciate the invite.
You're doing good stuff, man. Keep it up, and you'll get there with no time. Appreciate you coming on, and thanks for having me on your show not too long ago. That was a great conversation as well. So that was talking about the home defense guns and all of that stuff. I thought that was a great conversation. So if you haven't checked it out, go to C4 Defense and check out those chats. Great stuff. Thanks again, buddy. Flo Ryder over there. I know you're heading down to Dallas. You're going to meet up with us in Dallas, but what's going on with Funker Tactical or anything like that? You got anything going on?
Oh man, so much to speak of, but really just we'll be in Dallas. A few of the team members will be there. I'll be there with Todd Fossey most of the time. I know that we'll be seeing Jared as well, and Daniel Shaw will be there. I know. So stop by, say hi. We're running around. It's a very loose schedule. And again, please, anybody that knows me that I may not know your face because you're an icon somewhere, make sure you stop me and say hi.
Yeah, he's obviously very approachable, and like I said, I appreciate everything you've done for me. It's been a pretty interesting 6 months or so since you and I started kind of talking and hanging out a little bit. But thanks for everything you've done for me. Thanks for everything you've done for the community. And I know that you've been through an interesting time the last couple of months, but it's glad to see. Hey, thanks, 30 Clip. I appreciate you, buddy. I know that you've been through a lot and your family's been through a lot, but it's nice to see that you're still out there fighting the good fight. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thanks, man. Check out funkertactical.com. I dropped an article today talking about some of the companies we'll be visiting. So likelihood you'll see us at those booths.
Nice.
Peace.
John. Hey, peace, man. John, what's going on in New York? What you got going on up there?
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be part of your show.
Right in the middle of the bite of food.
Sorry, I was cleaning the kitchen floor, and then the food came.
It's all good, man.
So I just want to thank you for letting me be part of the show. Thank you for all the guests that have joined us tonight. Please, everybody, go check them out. And thank you for everybody who checked out the show and spent this hour with us, or a little more than that. And we'll see you next week.
Appreciate you very much. CloverTac, you've only got about 11 different live chats and different videos. I mean, how do you have enough time to keep Arminthia happy?
I don't. She's never happy. That's the secret to that. It's kind of like Hulk, right? I'm always mad. Yeah.
You're always green, also.
Always angry. Yeah.
Hey, Arminthia.
What?
Hey, Arminthia, you're up there. I didn't even see you out there. Hey,
that's all you got to do is say her name.
Oh yeah, well,
right.
That's true.
Hey, Vanessa.
So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a weird week this week. I'm trying to. It's one reason I'm kind of tired is I've been trying to get some produced videos done. I've got the rest of the 2245 tandem cross stuff done. Got a couple more Jam Davis things done. Going to try to drop those over the next few days because I'm not real sure how the live stream stuff's going to go. So
right.
Or the scheduled live stream stuff. Put it that way. We'll live stream and we'll cover the time slots probably somehow, some way. Yeah, just look for NRA stuff coming up. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe potentially Thursday as well.
There you go. All right, Josh, thanks again for coming on, and go ahead and plug websites, your products, and all that good stuff. And I appreciate you for coming on and all the help that you're giving the channel out. So go ahead and plug away, my man.
Yeah, we've been sitting here for about an hour, but I'll keep it short. Go check out Diplomacy Failure Incorporated, Diplomacy Failure Inc. on Instagram, Facebook. It's got all my videos on there. Lengthy explanations of what the products do. And I have a new target coming out at the end of the year, which, as opposed to the critical thinking part, taps into the actual decision making. There's a new forward grip on its way. And apparel is on its way. So, just stay on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Vero, Diplomacy Failure Inc. You can go check out my website, diplomacyfailureincorporated.com. And, use the promo code. And no matter what you do, go out there and train. I mean, dry fire, something, do anything. Right. If you don't want to buy targets, don't buy targets. Shoot cans, whatever. But get out there and train.
No, it's get out there and train. That's the whole purpose, is get out there and become more proficient and do everything you can to take care of you and your family. If you're not working, then you're only going to get worse. So keep up the fight. Guys, I want to talk a little bit real quick. I'll be going to NRA. I won't be getting there till Friday night. I've got to take care of some stuff here at work and all that. So I'll be leaving Friday afternoon, driving in. I'll be at NRA Saturday, all day Saturday and Sunday. So looking forward to that. Got some interviews and some meetings set up already. So I'm looking forward to those as well. Barry, doing some live stream while I'm there, and we'll kind of see what happens. I am introducing on Thursday, which I'm really excited about. I hope you guys will check it out on Thursday. I'm introducing a new series, and it's going to be range lessons with ghosts. And what we're going to talk about is typical things that happen at the range that either you're missing your shots in a certain place, or you know, there's different things that always happen in the range with your shooting and all that. I get questions all the time. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And as far as, you know, on a target, you might be hitting a certain location. Midnight says, did you get a link to the video I emailed you? I haven't checked my email. So I'm sure I did, but I'll let you know here in a minute. But as far as the first video that's coming out Thursday are the typical areas and regions of the target that most shooters miss. And we're going to explain as to typically why you missed there and what you can do to fix it. So a lot of these videos that we're going to start doing is range lessons on what am I doing wrong and how to fix it. So I hope you guys start watching those. If you have any issues that you want to make me tell me about, let me know. Send me an email at live@ghosttactical.us or put it in a comment on one of the videos. Let me know what's wrong with what you're shooting, your gun's breaking down, or you know, you're hurting, some parts of your hands are hurting, or there's all sorts of things that are happening when you shoot that you don't know why they're happening. So let us know. We'll try to answer those questions and make a video about it and all that. So there's probably more people just like you out there that are just embarrassed to ask that question. Don't be embarrassed, because if you don't ask those questions and you don't fix those problems, then chances are you're going to get discouraged and you might leave the firearm community, and we don't need anyone leaving. So if you're out there and you're having issues at the range or with shooting guns or anything like that, please let us know and we'll see if we can help you out. But guys, I want to say thank you to everybody on the Gun Channel side for joining us. Thank you to everybody on the YouTube side. It was a wonderful chat. Thank you to all my panel guests for jumping in. You brought in some great conversation and great points of view. I really do appreciate it. And go check out Gun Channels. You have the Daily Gun Show coming on at midnight Eastern every night, Monday through Friday. Check them out on Daily Gun Show on YouTube and on GunChannels.com, G-Webs, and all those guys. Every weeknight, midnight Eastern, Daily Gun Show. Go check out Hit or Miss right now. They're still alive. And support all your content creators as much as you can. And we'll see you at the NRA. Thanks for everyone for watching. Semper Fi.